Elizabeth Watson.
Present.
Okay. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Certification of the agenda. Do any board members have additions, corrections, or to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, the next item is unscheduled public comments. So the board welcomes public participation and values community input. As a general practice, the board will not discuss or debate questions raised, nor will they take any action. Questions or comments will be referred to the proper staff for follow-up later. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual or 5 minutes per group spokesperson. Jennifer, who do we have signed up?
My name is Shabib Gallegos, and I am here as a community member in the city of Sheridan. I just wanted to take some time to drive out here today and make sure that you all know how much I appreciate Andy and Brent for coming to an event that we had at the Sheridan Rec Center on April 28th, I think. We hosted a Dia del Niño celebration, which is a Day of the Child celebration. We had a fantastic turnout, but it really meant a lot to me to see the two of you there. So I just wanted to thank you for being there. Yeah, so I really appreciate that. I wanted to give a huge shout out to Eddie Canosa for hosting us once again. This is our 3rd or 4th annual celebration that we've had there, and so it's been such a great opportunity to bring community members out to a central place in our city. And so I wanted to make sure that y'all knew how much that meant to us as community members. Thank you. What's your name? Ken. Thank you. I also wanted to let y'all know how much I appreciate Mike and Ken for making sure that YouTube is working and up all the time. I think that you guys are doing a fantastic job with that, and I hope that it continues to run smoothly for you guys. I was curious tonight to find out if there were any updates on the work session being broadcast or posted online. I just feel like the meat of the conversations are really happening during the work session. I know, as y'all saw tonight, you're discussing, borrowing, spending $12 to $15 million, which is a huge chunk of change. And I think it's important for community members and members of the district to know where board members stand on those issues, what questions are being asked, and what type of deliberation is happening prior to it being brought to a vote at the regular meeting. So yeah, I just want to bring that back and put it back on your radar that that's something that we're still hoping for. And thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Chevy. Barb Grogan.
Might be a good thing. Good evening, board. My name is Barb Grogan, and I am here representing South Suburban Public Art Committee. I am on my 2nd term and have been serving for 5 years and currently serve as secretary. Chair Larry Lovelace and Vice Chair Kathy DeWeese could not be in attendance but pass along their appreciation. Our committee currently consists of 7 at-large members and 4 municipal members. The committee is responsible for the following: monthly art rotations at Goodson, Lone Tree, and Buck, and we voted in our last meeting to add Sheraton to the rotation. Annual art on loan at Goodson and Hudson Gardens, permanent artwork, artist in residency program, and sponsor an annual youth art class that displays their work at Goodson and Buck. We wanted to share some updates of the committee that has been working on with a few of these programs. Art on loan, artists' work are on consignment for 1 year. This year, the committee opened up the selection process for the first time outside of Colorado. We received 28 answers to our call, and one of the selected artists is actually from Maryland. Artist in Residency, a new program we are establishing at Hudson Gardens. I volunteered for our first artist who allow us to work through any initial programming and challenges to ensure future artists we contract have a professional and engaging process with the gardens and the community at large. It was held the week of August 27. This biannual program will be held in the spring and fall at Hudson Gardens, allowing the community to interact with artists while providing them with a creative space to work on their selected projects. In addition, these artists will provide a one-day workshop for registered patrons to learn from their craft. We aspire to attract artists from all over the United States and believe Hudson Gardens offers that unique residency experience. Permanent artwork. The committee has been working with South Suburban staff to be more intentional with our selection, as well as provide opportunities for integration instead of typical sculptures. This is a gradual transition to align with South Suburban's planning processes, but our first step was to open our process to an RFQ/RFP process for artwork at Milliken Park. The initial RFQ, or request for qualifications, resulted in 83 submittals, and the committee selected 3 artists to provide proposals for art pieces. We will not receive those submittals until July. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we would not be able to impact residents or surrounding community with wonderful artwork across the district without your gracious support. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions.
I don't have a question, but I've gotten some rave reviews about the artist in residence at Hudson Gardens.
Oh, thanks.
It was, yeah. Yeah, so it's very nice
It was
to
a
meet
great
you.
experience.
Yes, and
Really enjoyed it. And I thought the week's weather was not so great, but then we had the next week's weather, and I was like, no, it's okay. We didn't have a snowstorm. So,
thank you
yeah.
so much. Does anybody else have any comments or anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Sullivan?
I want to give you a handout.
You can share.
Okay. Good evening, board members. My name is Gregory Sullivan, a PhD. I live in District 4. I'm speaking tonight about the recent fuel tanker fire on April 27th on Santa Fe Drive and what it tells us about cumulative fuel infrastructure risk in our community. Littleton is already heavily oversaturated with fuel stations. There are currently approximately 24 stations in Littleton and another 20 stations within 1.5 miles of city boundary. Despite this concentration, additional large-scale fuel infrastructure is continuing to move forward. The Littleton City Council recently approved a supersized Costco with 32 pumps, along with a new fuel station at Santa Fe Drive. The recent tanker crash and the fire demonstrated that fuel-related risks are not theoretical. They happen with catastrophic fires, air pollution spikes, transportation disruption, emergency response burden, and threats to nearby citizens and children. These impacts matter to South Suburban because your parks, trails, playgrounds, and ball fields and recreation facilities are used daily by families throughout these same busy transportation corridors. When fuel infrastructure becomes increasingly concentrated, the risks become cumulative. Air quality impacts, tanker traffic, accident exposure do not remain confined to a single property. The new Costco super fuel station with 32 pumps require five tankers per day, 8,000 gallons each to West Mineral between Broadway and Santa Fe. There are 2 schools, Littleton Academy and Primrose School of Littleton, with 600 students within 500 feet of Costco's property and playground. The issue before the broader community is not simply whether one additional station is profitable. The facts are that Littleton has already exceeded a reasonable threshold of fuel concentration and adding more stations, and the necessary supporting infrastructure will increase community-wide risk faster, with community costs exceeding community benefits. I've given you a graph to look at that on the second page. I encourage South Suburban Parks and Recreation to recognize the connection between environmental health, recreational quality of life, cumulative fuel corridor impacts. I recommend that the board advise the City of Littleton to take necessary mitigation measures. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everything? Okay. Next item on the agenda, legal counsel report. The confidential legal report was provided to the board under separate cover, and board members are asked to direct any questions regarding the report to legal counsel or to request an executive session. Next item, consent agenda. So we didn't actually cover consent agenda in study session. They were to be reviewed by the board during study session and voted on in a single motion without discussion. However, we can make an exception, I assume, if all items, okay, so did any board member have a concern on consent agenda items to remove or replace, Kate?
I didn't want to remove anything, but I did want to ask a couple of questions on 7.5, the Resolution 2026-5, approving the emergency telephone service agreement with Kings 3 Emergency. I think that's Bo, right? I saw you, Bo. You're like, oh, man. There's some softballs I just wanted to ask. Within this contract, I didn't see an SLA, so if their service goes down, what is their response time? Did they quote us anything?
For the actual on-site, if like
Yeah.
power loss?
Yeah, to be on site.
Typically, those systems have battery backup.
Okay. But I assume they come out within a day, a week?
That's covered under the contract. It's in there.
Okay, it was in there. Okay, so then I missed that. And then I noticed
Other
that,
service agreement that's in there.
okay. It said that the contract would be a one-year primary with annual renewals. So is it possible that this would never come up if the price doesn't go up and we're happy with the service? It would just auto-renew
It'd be
year after year,
multi-year.
so we may never see this again as a board. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, and thank you for telling me that. I just must have missed the SLA piece in there with the contract stuff, so. Okay, that is all I had. Thank you, Bo.
I'll write a better one next time.
Okay.
Nothing
No,
further?
that's on me. No, that's all I got.
Okay. So the following items are on consent agenda this evening. Approval of accounts payable, checks, wires, and purchase card transactions for April 2026 in the amount of $3,620,413. Approval of minutes for meeting number 1044 held April 8th, 2026. And regular public meeting 1044, April 8th, 2026, minutes as well. Resolution 2025-23, approving the 2026 Art on Loan Program for recommendations from the South Suburban Public Art Committee. Resolution 2026-24, approving the funding participation intergovernmental agreement between South Suburban Park and Recreation District and the City of Lone Tree for High Note Regional Park. Resolution 2026-25, approving an emergency telephone services agreement with Kings 3 Emergency Communications, LLC, for the Family Sports Center elevators. Resolution 2026-26, approving 2026 matching gifts program projects. And Resolution 2026-27, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Littleton regarding the construction and maintenance of storm sewer on the Mission Viejo Pickleball Complex, now known as South Park Pickleball Complex. May I have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
May I have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay. Next item on the agenda, Denver South presentation.
Hello, South Suburban friends. Appreciate you having us tonight. If I haven't had a chance to introduce myself, if I haven't had a chance to introduce myself, I'm David. I'm the president and CEO of Denver South Economic Development and Transportation Management Association. Oh, thank you. And with me tonight, I have Pat Mulhern, who is the manager of the Southeast Public Improvement Metro District, and our colleagues Luis Tovar of SpyMed and Becky Nelson of Denver South. We really appreciate the opportunity to to do this presentation. If you don't know, and I'll just wait for a second until we have the slides up to try not to.
Oh, I get what you meant. I was confused as to what the issue was.
Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate it. I'm going to just reach across you, Pat. So Denver South is really a commercial corridor. If you're unaware about us, what we're really after is trying to create a dynamic commercial corridor that helps provide an outstanding tax base for the region. We've been around for about 40 years, and we encompass the area from about I-225 and 25 down south to about the Ridgegate development. And in that corridor, the gold area that you see on the screen is the Southeast Public Improvement Metro District. And then we believe that district is a really important partner for South Suburban. We think that there is an excellent opportunity to continue to work with you going forward, and we thank you for partnering on significant infrastructure in this area, like the new High Note Park, and it was great to see you there at the ribbon cutting. Thank you, Director Eller, for your comments. In this area is really the heart of Colorado's economy. I don't think a lot of people realize that in the 8-mile section that is the I-25 South corridor, that encompasses 9% of Colorado's entire economy, about $52 billion in that area. It's the largest commercial corridor in Colorado and really in the Rocky Mountain West outside of the coasts. There's 220,000 employees, almost 50 million square feet of office space and flex space, 19,000 businesses, 9 light rail stops. It's a really critical heart of the region. And as you may be aware, for those of you who've been around for a long time, that area was kind of originally envisioned as sort of your traditional office park kind of notion, starting with the Denver Tech Center on the north and stretching down through the Inverness district and Meridian and now Ridgegate. But over the years, it's changed, and we've added more multi-use. We've got single-family and multifamily housing, and we're realizing more and more that we need to have a better kind of work-life-play balance in the region. So one of the things that we do at Denver South is we work on behalf of our region to kind of try to foster collaboration, and really we do all 5 things that you see on the screen, but tonight we really want to talk about the necessity of figuring out how best to continue to partner with South Suburban on funding improvements that would really enhance that work live, play kind of notion. We believe that there are lots of opportunities for both large parks like what we have at High Note, but also smaller pocket parks and smaller installations that may really enhance the day-to-day experience of workers and folks who reside in the surrounding areas. Over the years, and Pat will talk about this more extensively, SpyMed has led an initiative called Vision 2035, and in many of our projects, we've been a small stake of the funding, and you guys have been the much larger stake, and we'd like to figure out how to continue to build on that legacy. It's a real privilege. I want to give a shout out to Andy for meeting with us and kind of sharing just kind of his vision for where South Suburban is going, and we really believe that like the next decade or so could be a really good partnership to develop that I-25 South corridor in a way that hasn't been developed before. So I want to give maximum time to Pat here to talk about SpyMed, and so this will be the time to change the slide decks. But the Southeast Public Improvement District is near and dear to us. It is our primary funding at Denver South, along with the 6 jurisdictions that we serve. So Pat, please take it away. You want me to run it?
I think it's this one, right? Yeah, I got it. Good evening, directors. as David said, I'm Pat Mulhern. I've been involved in the southeast corridor that David talked about since 1984. And what we want to do in just a few minutes here is just give you a very general exposure to who we are and what we got going on. Advance.
You just tell me when.
So SPIMED is a district that overlays all the metro districts in the south corridor there that were responsible for the development of all the infrastructure in the commercial corridor there. So all of that infrastructure, rather than being built by the cities, was built by the districts. And as the districts completed all this, and we got down to where really Ridgegate and Meridian were all that was left, we wanted to keep a hand in the quality of the development that occurs down here. So the commercial area only, we're a Title 32 metro district that only has a commercial tax base. So no residential in our district, just commercial. But the commercial tax base voted to have 2 mills of property tax on about $3.2 billion in assessed value to continue to invest in this area to make sure that we maintain that quality. And our authorities are typical of metro districts. We do have responsibility for economic development. So we fund Denver South and David's group, who goes out and works hard to make sure that all these buildings are full and that the area, the economics of the area is healthy. We've always looked at transportation and transit as being very important to the corridor, so we invest a lot of money in that. And we've always had parks and recreation as part of our authorities, but we really haven't used them until about now. And SPIMED is the entity behind this. They're the money behind it, but operations and management are all handled by David and his group. So if you go to the next. Denver South Board of Directors is 6 local governments that have property along the corridor. You see them there. And then it includes 5 business leaders and a representative of Centennial Airport, and then 4 of our SPIMED board members. And they give direction of this whole program. So David showed this briefly, but you'll recognize it again. These are our boundaries along the commercial corridor. And this corridor has essentially the same amount of employment as you have in downtown Denver. So when David said it's 9% of the state's economic development, this is where it's occurring with some 220,000 jobs in this area. So what's on the board there are just some of the projects that we have participated in funding for. And over the last 20 years that we've been active, we've committed about $30 million. That has been matched by the local governments in the corridor so that we have investment of about $60 million. And that has resulted in over $400 million of highway and transit development in the corridor over that time period. So our effort to, I think, invest in the corridor and keep money coming to the corridor to keep the quality has been very successful up to now. So as you go along, and I know you guys are doing long-range planning now, but we do our own as well. And David's group did an urban corridor study a few years back. And the results of that were interesting. It said, keep working on your transportation and transit. It said, work more on local mobility, getting people around the area. But then it also made a big point of trying to improve the ambiance of the area for employees and residents. And it stressed the need for better parks and recreation facilities and event centers and events. And the area really is deficient in parks and rec today, but thank you so much for your investment in High Note Park. That is a huge deal for our area. But in the beginning of all this, as it was all a business corridor, the businesses did not develop in proper park and recreational facilities. So the study said there's a real deficiency there. So we've all gotten together and said, what can we do about this? And our thoughts were, number one, we need to rely on you guys, our park and recreation partners that serve the corridor, for your expertise. We don't have your expertise. We need to participate in planning studies that you do, hopefully by providing input on what's lacking in our areas and what we see as the needs. We want to provide matching funds to you for any development that occurs within our boundaries. And we want to help you go out and pursue other means of developing funding grants and other monies that could come into the corridor. And then partner, hopefully, with you and the cities to encourage events by the local governments. So this shows you our boundary along I-25 and your enormous boundaries. You have an incredible district here. The red area is the area that overlaps. So that's your area that is within our district boundaries. And while that is only 8% of the overall land area of your district, our property owners contribute about 25% of your total income. So that's where David talks about the commercial corridor being an economic driver. What we're really here to do tonight is just give you a preview of this, but say we really want to seek your expertise in park and recreation. And Nicole has been attending our Parks and Rec Committee, which is an enormous step for us to get your involvement. We would like to contribute and participate in your current planning for the area of your planning that is in Denver South. We'd like to contribute to you for funding for projects that you do within Denver South. And we'd like to assist you in seeking additional funding from outside sources. So that's what we're about in a very short preview, but we appreciate the opportunity to come to you tonight and look forward to opportunities to partner with you.
Thank you very much. That's very informative. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have one. Everybody looks
Go
at
ahead.
me. So
I wonder
you may
why.
remember Ken and I, back in the day, we were both on Centennial City Council, and we were trying to do a lot of stuff around Arapahoe Road and I-25, that bridge there. So very familiar with SpyMed. I'm just curious, there's two park and rec districts that serve most of that corridor, and Greenwood Village is the other one. I assume you've been trying to work with them to do the same, looking at opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Greenwood Village, and then, Centennial has some participation in parks through your open space monies.
Yeah, through Arapahoe County, yes.
And then we've got the Inverness Metro District, who is investing heavily in parks, as is Meridian.
Okay.
So we're trying to bring all those partners together. We'd like to see your footprint expanded within our boundaries, but that's going to be a tough one. Your mill levy would be tough on this commercial area.
Yeah, okay. Well, but it's nice to work in a different capacity than just roads, so that's
Yeah.
nice. That's very nice.
Anybody else?
One quick one. We were both involved with the Jones property and now I don't know if they changed the name now. It's Central Centennial from District.
Yeah.
Are you working with them on
Yeah.
their amenities that they're going to try to provide?
Yeah, we're actively working with Centennial. That is a really, I think, a nice opportunity for that area. A nice opportunity to really develop kind of a central heart of Centennial proper. I think that there's a great chance to do some good parks work in that Midtown Centennial project. I don't know if you have anything to add, Pat, but
No, it's a center for focus, particularly up in the district area.
Right, yeah, because that's,
you know, as you look.
that's one of the prime areas that we're in the middle of what you guys do, so.
It's probably the best opportunity for redevelopment in the I-25 South Corridor, right there at that location.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Nice to see you again.
Yep.
Okay, next item on the agenda, acceptance of the 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report.
Hi, I'm back.
How are you?
I'm here tonight to ask you to formally accept the 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. I do have hard copies if anybody wants a, yep, set them up. I'd like to inform you that the Audit Committee met earlier this evening to hear the required disclosures from our independent auditor. We're given a clean, unmodified opinion, which means that the financial statements that are presented are free of material misstatement and fairly present the financials of the district. We had no disagreements with the auditors and no audit adjustments. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention is we will be submitting this document to GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association, for their financial award. This would be, we have received that award 24 times so far, so. Any question I'd be happy to answer? Otherwise, I'd love.
Did you have any questions, Andy? Yes.
We just have to recognize Linda
Yes.
and her team. For Ken that was at the meeting, the auditors sang her praises and talked about how wonderful the transition was from Steve to her and how seamless it went. So huge kudos to Linda and her team.
Thank you.
To pull off this mighty document. So.
As they say, ditto.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yeah, I read most of the report, and I agree. It was very professional, as always, and just wonderful. So congratulations to you and
Thank
your
you. That
team.
means a lot.
We appreciate you. Okay, anybody else, questions or comments? Okay, that is the final. Oh, I need a motion. Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. I got all messed up. So, let's see. Who would like to make the
I'm
motion?
getting there, Pam. Somebody else beats me. Okay, Madam Chair, I move to accept the 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now, do I need to adjourn to go back into study session?
What we'll do is we'll modify the motion to adjourn the regular business meeting to finish the study session and then enter into executive session.
Okay, and I need a motion for that?
Does that make sense?
Yes. Do I need a motion for it, or?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But you can use the motion that I have, it's up there right now, and just say, move to adjourn the regular business meeting and return to study session, and then enter into executive session.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, no, actually, no.
yeah, we have to
Go to
come,
study session, come back to regular meeting.
let's do that. Let's just adjourn the public meeting for now, and we will return to study session.
Okay.
And when we've completed that, we will go back into the public meeting so that we can adjourn into executive session.
Session, okay.
Okay,
Not confusing at all.
not too confusing. Okay, so we are now back in study session 1045. We have worked our way up to funding options for capital projects.
Pam?
Yes?
We need a motion to adjourn,
Oh, we need a motion to adjourn.
right?
Okay, I move we adjourn.
Let's just make a motion to adjourn to be safe.
I
Madam
made a
Chair,
motion-
oh, okay, go ahead.
I move we adjourn the regular public meeting so we can move back to study session.
And
Do I-
then to return,
To return,
to return.
to return.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good thing, because if anybody had said no, I was going to jump on it. Okay. All in favor. So